Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Can everyone hear me? If you can hear us and see us, you want to pop a message in the chat box on the right side. See, we've got some thumbs up. Welcome, everyone. Good. Hello. There we are. They're flooding in now. So we're just going to wait a few moments before we kick off, just to allow some people to join the session. Just wondering, where is everyone calling from today? Maybe put your countries or your flag in the chat box. It'd be interesting to see where everyone is from. Belgium, good. Same here. Italy, lovely. That sounds rather nice. Hungary, Canada, this India, brilliant. UK, nice. Spain, Czech Republic. Wow, brilliant. Nice guys. So it's good. It is good morning. It is good afternoon and good evening for everyone in the webinar, which is great. Queens, Madrid, lovely. Russia. Wow, we're really stretched. Thanks everyone. This is great. There's also a poll option as well. So when we get started, there's some polls on the tool as well. So there's some interesting questions. Maybe you guys may start answering those as well throughout the session. Of course, the session will be recorded. Yeah, definitely. It will be sent after. So if you miss anything, then it will be included as well. That's fine. Yeah, if they've registered, your team members, they'll also get the link to the recording as well. That's all good. Yeah, just hold on a few more moments while we wait for a few latecomers. Hello. So it'd be interesting to hear perhaps what organizations people are working with at the moment. So if you guys are comfortable popping that in the chat to hear if we've got any familiar faces and companies. Nice. Pleasure. So Massachusetts, lovely. So it's probably 10 o'clock in the morning or over there. What's the time with you, Rich? Bang on. That was a good guess. Nice. It's not too early then. That's all right. That's all good. Hi from Italy. Hi from London. Nice to have you both with us. So also just before we kick off, there's a few things that we're good to go through. So on the right side of the screen, you guys should have the chat, which you're also using, the questions and the polls as well. And of course the people, so everyone's there. If you've got any specific questions as we go through the webinar, then you can pop them in there as well. We'll be keeping an eye on the chat, of course. But yeah, any questions, and they can go into that section there. Yeah, I think we'll probably be good to start now. It's 5 minutes in, so I think we should be all right. So just to kind of introduce myself and everyone on the call today, so you know who's here. Pleasure to meet you all. Thanks for joining. My name's George. I'm an account executive here at Exalate. On the call with us as well, we have Maria, who's a support engineer. I think she should be this side of me. Maybe I'm making a fool of myself, but and then we have Tisha, who is a integration specialist, and we have Francis, who's of course our product manager. So I'll just let them say hello and give us a wave.
Hi.
Hello. Hello.
Nice to meet you all.
Nice. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and then we can kick things off. So can everyone see my screen and the presentation slide ahead of us? I can hear bleeps, so I would assume that's a yes. I'm just going to double check that with yes, everyone can. Brilliant. All good before I'm halfway into my presentation. So yeah, just to give a quick run through of what we're going to go through today. So I will first of all kind of give a bit of a high level overview of what Exalate is, and then any questions and stuff can be answered in the chat box as well. And then Tisha's going to share her screen and show you guys the tool in action and go through a few different use cases. The first one will be with a Jira and Azure DevOps, and then a ServiceNow and Jira integration as well. So let's kind of make a start here. So first of all, addressing the important question here. So what is Exalate? For those that don't know, Exalate is a bidirectional integration solution. And we currently support these tools here on the right. So just to summarize, we've got Jira, Salesforce, Zendesk, GitHub, ServiceNow, Azure DevOps, and HPQC/ALM. Now, any of these tools can integrate with each other. You can integrate all of them if you would so like to do that. And although we are the leading cross-company integration solution, we also see a lot of success with Exalate in organizations between different departments and different teams as well there. So this is a nice kind of high-level visual representation of the kind of user experience that you can get when you're using Exalate. So obviously got Jira instance on the left and Salesforce on the right. This type of collaboration and seamless integration is really what can be achieved with Exalate. So you've got the two teams talking in their comments section there. Now, yeah, what we can see here is they're each in their own environment, and they're not switching between environments. So you can get the best in terms of productivity. So it's quite a win for collaboration and also a win for kind of security as well, because you haven't got people logging in and out of each system. So we work with a whole range of organizations across different industries and across the world, in fact. So if you'd like to see some more information on how we've helped these individual companies, of course, this presentation will be sent along with the recording. So there's some links to click here, and it'll open up a bit more information on that if you'd like to see that. So what makes Exalate kind of particularly interesting for me as well is we're the only solution on the market which offers this decentralized integration. So I'm just going to explain over the next few slides a little bit about what that is, what that entails. So Exalate is deployed on each platform, which allows each side of the integration to completely control what information is sent and how they receive the information from the other side. So it's a really, really important kind of unique thing for us. So when you're opening up your company borders and when you're sharing data with other teams or other organizations, it's really important to use the right tool to do this. And that can be achieved with Exalate here. So just to kind of recap on decentralized integration, there's no risk of synchronizing any confidential information because you can choose line by line exactly what you want to send. There's no risk of the other side having some impact on your system because the systems are loosely coupled instead of stuck together and centralized. And there's no worries about any changes there as well from one side affecting yours. So obviously with that loosely coupled systems there as well. So in terms of the back end or the design and the architecture of Exalate, this is a really good resource that we've put together. So you'll be able to scan that there. And of course, that will be popped in the chat as well. So you can read a little bit more about how Exalate and the security and architecture. If you've got any specific questions regarding that, I know Francis will be happy to help in the questions side of the chat as well. So I'm not going to steal all of the limelight from Tisha. As I did mention, she's going to show you Exalate in action. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the two configuration modes that we've got available. So on the left, we have the visual mode or no code mode. And as you can see, this is rather kind of drag and drop. And it's very, very configurable and very easy to use as well. That seamless integration that can be set up a bit quicker. On the right side, we have the scripting mode. This is kind of maximum customizability, and you've got a Groovy-based scripts there as well to play around with. So really, you can set up quite advanced configurations and how you would like everything to kind of work there as well. The free plan is always worth mentioning. This is our free mode. It's free forever. So there's 1,000 syncs a month, and it's completely out of the box. So it's intuitive. We've got no code configuration. That's for if you'd like to sync summary, attachment, descriptions, and comments. So it's a little bit more basic. I'm sure Tisha will just come onto this briefly in the demonstration shortly as well. So that being said, hopefully I've set a bit of a picture of what you're going to see today, and and what's coming. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand over to Tisha.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, so I am sharing my screen now. And am I audible?
Yep.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so George kind of has given a very nice introduction to what Exalate is and what it entails to do. I will be giving you a practical demo on how you're going to use it, how you get started with Exalate. Let me just walk you through the presentation slides here, where we're going to discuss what is it that I'm going to deal with and what are the use cases today that I'm going to discuss. So, you must have often heard from us that, like there are intra-company integrations and there are cross-company integrations. So when we talk in these terms, what I mean here is that if you're considering an intra-company integration, that means, say, suppose a company that goes by the name UG Dynamics. So it has quite a few teams who work on different projects, who use different applications. So for example, if you can see here, UG Dynamics is a company that uses Jira and Azure DevOps as the applications for different teams. So their development team here uses Jira and their QA team uses Azure DevOps. So in this case, an intra-company integration would mean that UG Dynamics is looking for information consolidation and project collaboration across. It's only inside one company. That is only inside that company. So under UG Dynamics. So that is what we mean by an intra-company use case. Whereas for a cross-company integration, UG Dynamics is planning to integrate with another unique company that goes by the name RoverMetler. And as you can see, RoverMetler is using ServiceNow. So UG Dynamics has outsourced its customer support to RoverMetler. And so in the references that I'm going to give in this demo, this is the cross-company integration scenario where UG Dynamics wants to sync across its company borders, that is with another unique company called RoverMetler. All right, so let us briefly see how this intra-company integration scenario is. So like I mentioned, the dev team is using Jira and the testing and the QA team is using Azure DevOps. And they're basically looking for Exalate as a tool because they want to use it for project collaboration or information consolidation, because they're right now manually sharing data with one another. So that is creating a lot of friction among them. And that's the reason they want an automatic, real-time, bi-directional integration tool. Let us just deep dive into this use case a little. So what UG Dynamics would like to do from Jira to Azure DevOps is that whenever a task or a bug that is there in Jira that has a label QA team and is under the review state, then that time it is going to the Azure DevOps side. And also opposite from Azure DevOps to Jira, whenever a task or a test case is having a label dev team and it is either in the ready state or the active state, then it goes over to the dev team that is using Jira. A further look into the use case mapping requirements. Here you can see that from Jira to Azure DevOps, the summary, description, status, priority, labels, all these things need to be synced over to the Azure DevOps type for Azure DevOps for bugs and tasks, etc. And from the Azure DevOps side to Jira, you can they want to sync the title, description, state, priority, and all the fields that are mentioned here. Also, a unique requirement that they want here is to map the work item key from Azure DevOps to a Jira field in a custom field. The name of the field is remote issue key. Now, having understood the intra-company scenario, let us also look at what a cross-company integration looks like. So for UG Dynamics, we've seen that the dev team is using Jira, but now the customer support is with Robert Mettler, who is using ServiceNow. So now they want to collaborate. So how do they do that? They use Exalate, which is a bidirectional integration tool, and they want to kind of send the data back and forth, which of course they don't want to do manually. So again, we decode the case a little for them. So they want an incident that arises on the ServiceNow side in Rover Mettler that belongs to the application development assignment group needs to go as a bug to the Jira side. Also, catalog tasks and request items also need to be sent over to the Jira side. Now, from the inverse way around, from Jira, if there is a bug that is now done, that is the bug has been solved by the dev team, then the corresponding status stands resolved in ServiceNow and the resolution code is kind of synced between them. Again, here are a few fields that they want to kind of send across between both the incidents, both the applications. So there are incidents, there's request item and catalog task. And a very interesting part here is also that they need to sync the correlation ID and correlation displays, as in they need to get the Jira issue details in the correlation ID and correlation display fields of incident in ServiceNow. All right, so this was like, also one more thing, from Jira to ServiceNow, these are the details that need to be sent over to ServiceNow. All right, so we have had a brief idea about what is expected and how we're going to help UG Dynamics and Robert Mettler here. So we are of course going to use Exalate. Now the starting point of this is that Exalate needs to be installed on the Azure DevOps side and also on the Jira side. So the installation videos for Azure DevOps and Jira, in this case, Jira, it is very simple, but for Azure DevOps, Manoush will be pasting in the chat. Also, if there are any questions while I am in the demo, please feel free to drop them in the chat. So once you have installed Exalate from the Azure DevOps Marketplace, the way that you're going to access Exalate in the Azure DevOps environment is by clicking on Organization Settings. And once you click on Organization Settings, on the left-hand panel, you can see that there's an Exalate panel here that appears on the left-hand side. Now, if you go to your Jira instance here, on your Jira, you have to install Exalate for the Jira Cloud from the Atlassian Marketplace. And steps are pretty straightforward. It's a very intuitive installation wizard. And once that is done, you click on More and you go to Manage Your Apps. And from that, once you do that, then the Exalate console kind of is visible on the left-hand side. Now we have all this set up already for you, and I am on the Connections tab right now. So once Exalate is installed, the first thing that you need to do is to create a connection between your Jira instance and your Azure DevOps instance. So once that connection, this connection is like a secure pipeline. So, like you authenticate Azure DevOps and you authenticate Jira, and once that those connections or those applications are authenticated, then information, a secure pipe is created wherein information can be passed back and forth. So now to create this connection, You can start creating it from either end, be it Azure DevOps or Jira, but I'm going to start from this here. And I initiate it from here, and I will accept the connection from here. So just ignore all these connections. These are ones that I already have. And I click on initiate connection. Now it asks me to enter the destination instance URL. So in my case, the destination is going to be my Jira instance. So I'm just copying this URL and I'm pasting it here. So like George did give you a very, very basic overview of what are the different modes that Exalate supports. We have the basic mode for very, very simple, basic synchronization use cases. So you can sync issue types, comments, summary, description, and attachments. But there's no configuration that can happen in the basic mode. So it's quite suitable for, very, very simple use cases. Now, the very interesting flexibility feature that Exalate always talks about is kind of seen in the visual mode and the script mode. Also, like you had a brief introduction about what these modes are. So visual mode is a very graphical user interface where there's all dragging and dropping and selecting certain fields, point and click interface. Whereas the script mode involves an intuitive script engine, that is a Groovy based scripting engine that enables you to use scripts to control your sync. So another very, very major difference between these modes is that in the visual mode, you can control the sync from either end. So it is from the Azure DevOps end, you can control both the sides. And from Jira also, you can control both the sides. Again, for using visual mode, you need the admin access on both instances. That is on Azure DevOps as well as on Jira. So for the purpose of our demonstration, we are going to choose the visual mode for the intra-company use case, that is within UG Dynamics, we're going to choose this mode. And for the script mode, we are going to opt for the cross-company use case. Because in script mode, you do not need the admin access on both systems. Yes, that is one thing. Also, you get a decentralized kind of integration that George was just talking about. So from Azure DevOps, you control independently what you want to send and receive. And on the Jira end, again, independently, you control what you want to send and receive. So that is the entire essence of the visual mode and the script mode. So now let's just start with the visual mode, because the intra-company is the first use case that I will be discussing. So if I click on the visual mode and I click on next, I have to give a local instance a short name. So this can be any name that you want to give to your Azure DevOps instance. So I'm just simply keeping it ADO here and Jira, and maybe I'm saying that it's Jira Visual. So the name that I give, according to that, a connection name is auto-generated, but you can change this if you want, and a description for you to understand why you are creating this connection in the first place. Yeah, and I click on next. Yeah. So now this is the part where I was talking about where you need the admin access on the other instance as well. Here, if I click on verify admin access, ideally you should be redirected to the, if it's the first time that you're doing, you should be redirected to your Jira instance. You will have to perform, a certain validation wherein you are accepting that you have the admin access, and then you come back to this screen. So it's because that I already have this admin access, it just verified for me very instantly. Yeah, and now this is going to successfully establish your connection, so that secure pipe is created, and now all you're left to do is to sync data, right? So I'm just going to configure how we want to sync this data, and let me just maximize this a little. Also, so as you can see, this is the name of the connection, and you can see both the Azure DevOps end and the Jira end right in front of you. So you're configuring it for both sides. I'll select the project for my Azure DevOps instance. So I have this one that I'm just going to open, and I'm going to select that. And on the Jira side, I will click and select the Jira instance project. So this is the one that I'm going to use, and that is the one that I've selected right now. Then you go on to choosing the sync method. Now the sync method has these options. So you can either choose to manually sync between Azure DevOps to Jira. You can automatically start the sync between Azure DevOps to Jira, or disable the sync in a certain direction. So the arrows are going to point which direction you want the sync to work. Right now, I am simply choosing automatic. And if I go to my Azure DevOps instance, there's this very, very important screen, that is the filter entities screen. This is going to basically decide what is it that you're going to filter, what is it that you want to start syncing to the other side. So, for example, in our use case, we have considered that tasks from Azure DevOps, yeah, that have a tag in Azure DevOps, right? So the tag dev teams, and that should be in the active state. Yeah, let me just search for that state. Yeah, active state. So this is my scope of synchronization. Again, if there's test cases that you want to sync, there are test plans or any other work item types, you can very well go and select them from this screen. So I'm clicking on save once I have made the configuration. And on the Jira side here, I will have this almost similar screen, but then these entities are Jira specific. So I can choose right now that I want to sync a task and a bug that has a label QA team, all right, and which is in the status review. Yeah. So that status is going to be review, and I click on save. Now, once you've decided this scope, the next screen is also another very important screen. That is the rules screen. This is going to show you how the mapping between the Azure DevOps instance and the Jira instance works like. So tags in Azure DevOps are mapped to labels in Jira. So, statuses is mapped to state in Azure DevOps. Priorities are mapped. And you can also drag and drop these up and down to reprioritize them. You can delete a certain mapping if you don't want certain fields to be synced over, or you can even choose to edit those mappings, and when you go on the edit mapping screen, this is what you kind of get to see. So right now, Azure DevOps priority is being mapped to the priority of Jira, and you can also control the direction of the sync. Now, under priority, maybe I want the priority 1 to be mapped to highest priority in Jira, because Azure DevOps has 1, 2, 3, 4 as the priorities, and Jira has certain different priorities. And yeah, likewise, you can select these ones. You can also choose to do what happens if there's no matching value found on ADO, or there's no matching value found on Jira. So, okay, I can either set a default value, I can report an error, or I can choose to do nothing. I am setting a default value. Let us set this value to 3, maybe. Yeah. And here as well, you can do that on the Jira side. So I'm keeping a medium priority here, and I'm clicking on save. So once I edit, these changes will be saved. Now, suppose there is a certain mapping which you do not find in this list. Of course, it's quite possible with advanced cases. So you can add a new mapping here. For the ADO side, I have just created a custom field which is mood swing, and we have another, I don't know, yeah, it is mood here on the Jira side. So these are custom drop-down fields. Again, I can choose the sync direction. I can add the particular mapping. So, it's going to be a blocker if I'm really angry. It's going to be deal with it if I'm delighted, probably. And I'm not going to be okay if I'm tired. And probably I'll be okay if I'm happy. So this is the kind of mapping that you can do, and, add, and whatever is your custom fields, you can add them likewise. And I click on save. And once they have been added, you can see them in the list. Another very interesting part here is like you add a mapping, of course, visually. But there's another interesting feature that is there is for you to add a script in this what do you say, the panel. All right, so if there are certain custom fields that they're very, very different from the normal ones, or you want an advanced configuration, that time you can choose to add scripts. So I am just adding another script here, which is a very, very simple script. And what this script intends to do is that your work item key in Azure DevOps, that is going to be mapped, that is going to be shown on a custom field in Jira. All right, so that's a custom field in Jira. I'll just quickly show you how that custom, what the name of the custom field is. Yeah, so this is the custom field in Jira that has that is supposed to show me the work item type. Sorry, supposed to show the work item key. Now this is the local instance and this is the remote instance. Now I want this field to be saved on the Jira side, right? The key to be reflected. So I simply copy the name, the remote instance name that I had given, local instance name that I had given, and the remote instance name. Yeah. So this is the one that I copy from here. Yeah, and I save this script. Now, if you've saved the script, you can choose to see it down here. You can also, in fact, choose to, map. This is also quite often asked to us that, can you just map the assignees? So yes, you can. So if there's an assignee here on Azure DevOps that goes by this email address, then Manush, you're gonna kill me now. I've just saved your email address because I always get confused with your last name. Yeah. So this is, if there's a task that has been assigned to me on Azure DevOps side, might as well assign it to Manush on the other side, that is the Jira side. And I click on save. Yeah. So I think once you're done with all the changes, all you need to do is to click the publish button to save the changes that have been made. So in the meanwhile that this is publishing, let us try and see what is the filter that we've given on the Jira side. So it's a task, bug, yeah, review and QA. Yeah. So let us start by creating a task from the Jira side. So you can choose to create a task or a bug, any which way is okay. Yeah, and then add a description. And yeah, a label, that is QA team is the label that we're going to filter for. Let's assign a mood for it, and let's assign a priority to it and create it. All right, so now you want this task to be synced over to the Azure DevOps side. Now to generally check the status of whether this task has been synced over to the Azure DevOps side or not, there's an Exalate panel under every issue view and under every work item view. So you simply open that Exalate panel and you would get to see the status of the sync. Now, right now, this is going to be blank because the filter that we have given is that when a task belongs to QA team and it should be in the review state. So I'm just dragging and dropping this here. And now if I open the Exalate panel, give it a few moments. Yeah, so it's already picked up that, I have put the task under review and now it's going over to the other side. I head over to this side, my Azure DevOps side, and I click on work items. Yeah, there you go. So the task has been synced. You can see that, this has been reflected here. The description has been copied, the priority, the mood swing that we set, that has also been copied. And as you can see, there's also an Exalate panel down below, which kind of shows you that the issue has been synchronized. All right, so you can add comments from here. And maybe also assign me, because it's going to be assigned to Manush on the other end. Yeah, so, you can also check this in this panel in a few seconds. The change that I have just made will be picked up by Exalate and you will be able to see this change here. So yeah, so it has been assigned to Manoj and the comments have been reflected. Also, the remote issue key has been synced. You can add a comment from the Jira side here as well. Oh God, what is wrong? Yeah. And I click on save and I change the description here. I click on save and that will be reflected over to the other side. All right, so it just automatically picks all these things up and it kind of syncs over to the other side. Yeah, so the description has been changed, the comments have been synced, and you can also choose to sync these mood swings and everything. You can just change this and it'll just pick up, at the other side. Now, this was more about from Azure DevOps to Jira. Similarly, if you want to do it from the other side, like you create a task in Azure DevOps that has a tag dev team and a state active, then again it will automatically be synced over to the Jira side. All right. I think, I mean, this is pretty clear. So we'll just move on to the next use case. But before we do that, there are also triggers that you can create. So instead, if you know there are certain things that the filter entities the screen does not accommodate, you can also create triggers for it. So triggers are very specific for that particular application. So say a task, a work item that is a test case that has a status active and has a tag, the same thing you can also give it in a trigger. So if I click on this create trigger button, you can see that you can apply the trigger to a work item on Azure DevOps side, and in this if section you can give an Azure DevOps advanced search syntax filter to kind of create that trigger and send it over to the sync according to the conditions that have been set. So this is just one thing that I also wanted to show you. Regarding the intra-company case, if there are any specific issues or questions that you have, again, you can drop them in the chat anytime after the webinar or right now as well. So we can take up these questions afterwards. So now the second use case that we have is between UG Dynamics and Robert Metler as a company, and that's a cross-company use case. And for that we have ServiceNow, right? So I'm just going to open this ServiceNow incident application, and as you can see that ServiceNow is used for customer support, is used by the customer support team. So now Manush is now going to drop in a video to explain how to install Exalate on ServiceNow. So assuming that we've already installed Exalate on ServiceNow and we need to access its connection, this is the screen that is going to access your Exalate, that is going to show your Exalate console. Now, like you can see, the fields here, the panel here looks the same like it does for Jira. Just excuse me. So you have the connections and all these things almost similar to what you have on Jira. So like I told you, the first thing that you need to do is to kind of create a connection between Jira and ServiceNow. So I'm initiating the connection and I am copying this URL, pasting this here. Yeah. So I'm choosing the script mode. You'll see in a while why I choose the script mode. It's because you do not have admin access to the Jira instance. What happens in that case? And for that, an invitation code that is a shared secret is generated, which you need to copy and paste between the two systems. So I'm just clicking on the script mode here and I click on next. I again give a name maybe to this. Okay. And a description, and I click on initiate. All right, so a unique invitation code is generated, like I told you. Now this invitation code is like a shared secret which will help you authenticate both the source and the destination instance. So I'm going to copy this invitation code and then I'm going to run back to Jira and I click here now. I click on the accept invitation button. I paste the code here. I click on next. And then I select the project on the Jira side. Yeah, so this is my project on the Jira side and I'm clicking on confirm here. Yeah, there you go. Now all that is left is for you to configure the sync. Now if I click on configure, this is the kind of screen that you will have at either ends. Here I have created this connection already. Yeah, this one already between ServiceNow and Jira. And this was deactivated. I'm just activating it now so we can have a look at it together. I'm deactivating the one that I just created. All right. Yeah. So this is the connection. If you click on edit connection at both ends, you will be able to see similar screens. All right. Now here two tabs are extremely important. You have the rules tab and the triggers tab, and you have the rules tab and the triggers tab here as well. Now let us look at what the rules tab has. It has something, in a box under outgoing sync, and it has inside a box something called as incoming sync. And you can see that the same thing is on the Jira side as well. So you have an outgoing sync and you have an incoming sync. In very, very simple terms, outgoing sync is going to decide what information you want to send from ServiceNow to Jira, and incoming on ServiceNow will decide how you want to receive that information from Jira. Again, vice versa, what information you want to send from Jira in the outgoing sync, and how you want to receive that information from ServiceNow into Jira. Again, a little deep dive into what actually is being done here. If you can see that the entity name here is incident, all right, and you can see that key, short description, all these things are saved into something which is called as a replica. All right. Now, this replica you can imagine as an empty box. You just stuff information that you want to send over to the other side. You open that replica on the other side, stuff information inside the incoming sync on the other side, and then you kind of get the sync. So, for example, if you consider this, we are saving the entity's description, entity in our case is the incident, into the replica's description. Now, if you head back to the incoming sync on the Jira side, you can see that the replica's description is being copied into the issue description. Now, this is true for all the other entities. For a short description is saved into replica summary. That replica summary is being copied into issue summary. So this is the kind of mapping that that is possible. So if there is there's a certain table that you want to sync with, that you can. I think this is a business app that is there in ServiceNow that you can sync to the other side. If there's an entity called request item or a catalog task, or you want to sync change request, you simply write these if statements and attach them into the outgoing sync. But of course, just attaching them into the outgoing sync is not going to be enough. You need to fill those values here on the Jira side, that is the incoming side of the other instance. So this is the kind of mapping that has to take place. Now, this is an example of how you can sync a request item and a catalog tasks. If there are certain other fields that are supported by request item, you can also add that through the resolution notes of, if whatever is the resolution note, that name needs to go here. So that is how you're going to kind of sync entities, any entity from ServiceNow. All right. So I'm just going to quickly walk you through the script, not much, not going into a lot of details. So like I have told you, all this incident and this and request item and catalog tasks are sent out from ServiceNow. On the incoming side, you can see that, if it's the first sync, it will create an issue under this project, that is the UD project. You're copying the incident's key, in this case, to the remote issue key, that's the custom field, and you're creating a bug issue type. So if you do not find any matching issue type on the Jira side, by default, I'm going to create a bug. Right? These are simple mappings. Then, a custom field mapping where I'm just writing the urgency of the incident into a custom field. And then I have mapped statuses. Then I have mapped priorities. All right. So priorities in ServiceNow are a little different based on impact, urgency, and one more field. So that mapping I have already done here. Again, if there are certain other things that you want to do, there are guides that there are helpers that are already commented, which you can use. Now, from the Jira side, on the ServiceNow side, let's just have a look at the incoming sync. So if it's the first sync, I'm creating an incident, and then I'm copying everything from the other side. If it's an incident, and correlation display and correlation ID are fields in ServiceNow that are generally used to display synced entities details. So I'm just copying the issue URL and the replica key here. So this issue URL is fetched through this this method here, and it is saved into this variable which you are copying it into the relation display. Then statuses have been mapped, and this is a very interesting last thing that I'm going to cover. So this is the resolution code. So in ServiceNow, basically, anytime that you resolve an incident, a resolution code is necessary. So I have kind of created a custom field here in Jira, which is called as a resolution code. It's a drop-down field, and that resolution code I have mapped to the code in ServiceNow, and I have left also some close notes to be reflected in the ServiceNow side. Now let's just have a quick look at the triggers. So this rules section is going to decide what is it that you want to send. Now, when do you want to send it? It's decided by triggers. So for example, for our use case, we've decided that an incident belonging to the application development assignment group needs to go over to the Jira side. So for that, you will create a trigger. You will select the entity type to which this trigger applies to from ServiceNow. And then in the if section, you have to use the ServiceNow search syntax. Now, in case you do not know how to do that, it's simple. It's very simple. You click on this filter entity screen and you choose a field. Right now, I'm just choosing assignment group is, and then you select, yeah, this is my assignment group. And you simply click on run. Now, once this query is run, all you have to do is right click on this, click on copy query, and you paste it here. So it's as simple as that. You can also choose to and or use and or by creating this or that many filters. And then you can leave notes for what you've created the trigger for, and then click on active. So I have already created this trigger. Now, like I said, you also need to do this on the Jira side, all right? So this is not going to be reflected automatically on the Jira side. So Jira also has an option to create a trigger where you choose to create a trigger for an issue or a sprint, and then use JQL, that is Jira query language, to write in the if section. So let's just keep this simple. So I'm going to create an incident that belongs to an application development assignment group that goes over to the Jira side. And I'm going to click on publish. You have to click on publish to save these changes. Now heading over to the ServiceNow side here, I click on new. I'm assigning a random color here, and maybe I just set up the urgency here. All right. And yeah, so by default, it is belonging to the application development group, so I don't need to really do anything. And this is the description. All right, so I click on save. Now, once this incident is saved, you don't know if it's how whether it has been sent over to the other side or not. So how do you check that? You simply copy this. You go to your Exalate console. You go to your entity status. Okay, this is incident that I'm searching for. You enter the incident number here and just give it some time. Is this the same incident I've copied here? Yeah. So it has been synced over to the other side. Just give it some time. Yeah. So it has ideally created a bug on the Jira side. And as you can see, the short description becomes the summary, and this is the description. You can also see that the remote issue key has been synced here. The urgency has been synced here. And the priority also has been set to high as we've got from the other side. You can leave comments, and they will be reflected on the ServiceNow side. Right. So I click on Exalate. Again, this is the Exalate panel that I showed you in the issue view, which will take up that I have commented, and it will get reflected on the other side. Now, this is the to-do status. Maybe if I just put it in progress, the status of the incident here also changes. Yeah, so the comments have been reflected. Of course, you can comment from the ServiceNow side as well. Now, another thing that I wanted to show you here was the correlation ID and the display. So they have automatically been filled up from the issue details that have been created on the Jira side. So whatever has been synced on the Jira side. Right now, if I have to close this issue, oh my, I did not send it to the review state. Okay, so if I want to keep put this issue status as done, What I'm going to do here is I click on done, and then I choose what is the resolution code. So maybe I have solved it permanently. I open Exalate and I'm just waiting for it to get synced over to the other side. Solved permanently, all right. Yeah, there you go. So it has been automatically filled as solved permanently, and then a resolution note that I have given by default. Yes, so this brings me to and you can see that the state has also been resolved. To the end of what I wanted to show you in this demo. I hope I was able to cover everything that you wanted to ask, that you had in your mind. Again, before I wrap it up, some advanced cases that Exalate supports here is that you can actually demonstrate a workflow orchestration. So right now that I showed you, a resolved incident, again the resolution code being sent over to ServiceNow. That is a very very simple example of workflow orchestration, but you can of course have better and much advanced workflow orchestration scenarios which Exalate can handle for you very effectively. Again, we also saw how sharing your request item variables in ServiceNow works. I showed you can sync almost any kind of entity using the resolution nodes. For HTML to wiki conversion, there's also an interesting resource that we have that Manush is going to share in the chat box. And you can also sync epics where the epic and all the stories that are there in the epics are kind of synced on both sides. And last but not the least, we have also story ranking in Jira on-premise that Manush is going to share on how to do that in the chat box. So these are just a very, very selective examples that we have come up with based on some common questions. But let the questions pour in. This was like the end, but there are a lot of I'm sure questions that you have regarding your specific integration case. So feel free to kind of put them in the chat box, and I will give the stage over to George.
Hey, thank you. That was brilliant. Thank you very much, Teja. So I think this would be a great time to dig into some of those questions that we've just had there. So Francis is going to take the lead here. So I don't know which one you'd like to start with, but the floor's over to you.
All right. So we had many questions. Thank you for that. We've tried to answer them all. But some of them were like required some more explanation than just the standard. So what we could put in the chat itself. So we added them on the questions tab. That's the second tab. And I will go through them. If I'm missing any of them, any of the questions that you have been asking in the chat, just let me know. So the first question came from Wade. Thank you. This is about the synchronization between ServiceNow and Azure DevOps. Yeah. And the question is, can you sync any entity or any table from ServiceNow to whatever? And the answer is yes. What Exalate does is it's integrating with the REST API of ServiceNow, and ServiceNow has a pretty generic way of accessing these tables. So whenever you would have your custom integration or your custom application deployed onto your ServiceNow, you can still access the tables which are being maintained for that application itself and build a more advanced synchronization case. Okay. Let us know in the chat if that's sufficient as an answer or not. So the next question from Wade was, can you also format the target description for DevOps? Example, concat the incident number with the description, and that's totally possible. Like Teja was showing in the cross-company use case, if you use the scripted connection, you can go implement a lot of these type of specific formatting items. You can also use the visual editor with what we call a script rule. If you have specific needs in how the information is formatted on the other side. So that's also possible. And furthermore, so we get a lot of, the question is, yeah, on Azure DevOps, we do have an HTML formatting, and on ServiceNow, we have a plain text formatting. How do you do this transformation? So there are what you call external scripts, which allow you to incorporate additional functionality, like transforming HTML to plain text or to the wiki format, which is used on Jira. Okay, so next question from Joel. How do you usually ensure master data like persons, locations, cost center are synced? Is Exalate not issue-based? So the question is, it depends on the platform. Like for instance, if you have a Jira synchronization to Azure DevOps, and you have this information of persons, locations residing in Insight, you will have you can still synchronize this information between the two sites, but then this is a more advanced configuration because you will have to use the Insight APIs to retrieve that information, put it in a message, and send it over to the other site. Yeah. So it all depends on the environment where you have this master data and how it's being managed. Yeah? So the answer is maybe, or it depends. All right. Next question is from Victor. Can I switch between visual and script mode on the fly? Let's say I first selected visual mode for sync, and now I want to switch to script mode. That's not possible. And I've seen there was some discussion between Maria and Victor on this subject. So I would rather raise this because it's more involved. I would rather raise this question on the community site, and maybe Manush, you can post the link to the community site in the chat. Okay. Next question is coming from Sander. What are the best practices for storing the script configuration for script mode? I mean, is there any best practice to store and manage the configuration for both ends, or is there any? So you have to know that with scripting, you can do a lot. You could it's for the people who are using Jira and Script Runner. You know that with Script Runner you can access any information in your Jira. You can even modify the information, and that's the same with Exalate. With the scripting mode, you can do quite a bit, and a lot of its flexibility is coming from that capability. Yeah. So, but and that's the main reason why admin access is enforced for anyone configuring the synchronization itself, because you want to be sure that you can know that the people who are making this configuration know what they're doing. And so and now to answer your question, Sander, are there any best practices? Knowing that these scripts are really powerful, we do advise to externalize these, meaning that you can always deploy Groovy classes on a certain location as available on the documentation, and have all the logic of these Groovy classes doing the synchronization itself. And the connection will then call the methods from these Groovy classes to link the connection with the functionality. The advantage of using external scripts is that these can be versioned. You can have them in a Git repository, mainly, and or any other source code control system, and ensure that these are being validated before you deploy it. And then to answer a question from Chris about, is it possible to use Jenkins or Bamboo or whatever continuous integration to deploy these scripts? That's perfectly possible if you externalize them. Yeah. So Sander, I hope that I'm answering your question. If in doubt, just raise the question on the community. We will be answering there also. Okay. Next question is from Fimal Ray. I hope I say your name correctly. Is there a way to move the already synced records in visual mode to script mode? So that was already answered. So it's not currently. And let's have that discussion on the community itself. Then there was a question from William about what version of Groovy that Exalate is using. That's currently version 2.8, and we're working on bumping this to version 3. Yeah, so we're really concerned of creating regressions, and so we're looking in how to validate the different script capabilities before releasing that into the field. Okay. Next question is from Chris. So that was about the script being managed through version control. The answer is yes. Externalize the script itself, and then you can use a Git repository to manage these external classes. Next one is from Luis Lobo. About the sync can move a Jira issue between Jira projects. Is project a mappable field? Yes, project is a field which is in the available in the issue object. You can also send it out over a message and use that information to say, well, move the issue from one project to another. There is a caveat whenever you move issues in Jira from one project to another, then the configuration between the two projects need to be identical. If they are not identical, you will get quite a bit of head-scratching problems. Next one is from Chris Roadcap. Can you sync an internal Jira instance to an external Jira instance? Absolutely. And you can even do it so without opening your firewall. So Exalate is supporting what we call private to public connections, where the private site will open up all the TCP connections. And so in that case, the private site will just check the public site if there are any messages queued for the synchronization itself. So no opening of firewalls. It's really secure. The same applies between your internal Jira and like a ServiceNow instance. You can have a bidirectional synchronization without opening firewalls or lowering your security stance on your local network. Next question from Karunesh. It's about does Exalate allow to work with business-to-business gateways or API gateways? We do have a couple of customers that are using API gateways. Like one is using Data Power IBM from IBM, and it just works as long as the REST API, which is published through the API gateway, is the same as the REST API provided by Exalate itself. The REST API documentation is available on the documentation site. We can provide you a link if you want to go further, or just reach out to us and we can work together to make sure that this use case is working. All right, then next question from Chris regarding the invitation code and making it available after the connection is set. So as Teja has been showing, whenever you set up a synchronization in a scripted mode or in a private public mode, an invitation code is generated, which needs to be accepted on the other side. So it's really important to understand that this invitation code contains security information to ensure that the connection is made with the right target, and B, for signing all the messages which are sent between the two sides. Yeah? So it needs to be considered as a key. So don't create an invitation code and start to post it on the internet, that would not be a smart move. Okay, so and also that's the reason that once the connection is set, the invitation code is removed from the configuration itself, because it's a security risk. Okay. More information on the invitation code is available on the security white paper. Then next question from Sven. What if things go wrong? Can you put some words on troubleshooting? Yes, we have this saying that Murphy is always around the corner, and shit is always happening. And so yes, there are quite a bit of troubleshooting capabilities built into the product. First of all, whenever there's an error which is raised by any reason, like a networking reason or a scripting problem or a configuration or a permission, an error will be raised and listed on the error queue. Yeah. Now, something I didn't tell yet is that Exalate is a transaction-based synchronization engine. So meaning that every update made on one side will be handled as a transaction. And if there's any problem in completing the sync transaction, an error will be raised. And once that the error is resolved, the transaction can continue from the point where it failed. Okay, so knowing that, you can build like, for instance, in your scripts, you can add logging or debug statements which will raise errors that are highlighting what is going wrong or what information that you need to handle, and that way a lot of our customers are able to find out how to improve the synchronization script itself. Yeah. Regarding the errors, there are different types of errors. Like, for instance, if you have a networking error where the Exalate node cannot access the other side, that type of error will be retried a couple of times before an error is raised into the error queue. Other errors, like in case that there's a script error, you will see we have this script error on that line with a pointer to itself. So Exalate tries to help as much as possible in developing your synchronization. There's a lot of information available on the documentation site. There are, like, I believe 3,000 pages in total. And there's a community site where people are asking questions how to resolve certain cases. Yeah. So just for your information, we are handling the community questions on a best effort basis. We are prioritizing questions on our support queue, which are handling about product issues. Configuration questions, we do ask them to move to the community, because other people have then also the benefit of the answers that we will give. Yeah. Okay. Next question is from Marcel. Can I sync sprint information between two cloud Jira instances? And the answer is yes. Sprint is considered as an entity, just like an issue, and you can sync any attributes of that entity between the two sites in the same way as you do with issues. Also, there's quite a bit of documentation available. Yeah. Then next question from William. Is it possible for Exalate to work with on-premise Jira sync to cloud Jira, and any restrictions on the on-premise version? So there's the synchronization between Jira Server and cloud is absolutely possible. There are no restrictions whatsoever, except from system restrictions. Of course, if you say, well, Exalate is not allowed to access these projects, then of course it will not be able to access this project. Or for instance, if you have like custom fields which are being created by add-ons, which don't provide an API to access this custom field that exists, of course at that moment it's not possible to synchronize the information. So when I said, are there no restrictions? In the normal cases, there are no restrictions. For the special cases, there might be workarounds if it's not possible. And again, the community site can be used for asking these questions. Yeah. Next question from Wade. Can you sync between TFS on-premise and Azure DevOps Cloud? And the answer is no. We don't have an Exalate for TFS yet. It's on the roadmap. It's something which is being asked for quite a lot. And so we want to have this in the course of 2022. The next question from Goro. Can we sync GitHub project column to Jira project column status? GitHub projects are not yet supported as entities, and that synchronization is not possible. There are more advanced configuration possible where you are using an issue link or a twin to transfer other information, but that requires you to develop these scripts which are reaching out to the GitHub, extracting the information, and that's not really convenient. So we do know that projects are entities that needs to be synchronized, and we're looking into it. It's one of the epics on our roadmap. Next question, and the last question on the question tab. Did we plan to use GitHub GraphQL API instead of V3 API, as I have one of the requirements for my POC? Currently, GraphQL is not supported. It's even not on the backlog. So, but that's certainly something that we are going to look into. Okay. Okay, jumping over to the chat. Maybe there are other questions there. Let me check. 32 new comments. Question from Robert. Will date sync between Jira and ServiceNow be included, or user fields? Or wait, help me out here. What question should I answer? So, George, Manoush, maybe?
We've gone through all of those. So in the chat box, has anyone got any outstanding questions which is particularly burning on their mind? Perhaps they could paste it back in the chat box just in case we missed it. I'm just having a browse through as well.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, well, few people perhaps typing at the moment.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for the questions. I know it's benefiting everyone.
Yeah, good question. Thank you. Limitation of visual mode. Right. As compared to scripting, yes, there are limitations to it, and that's also why we added the script rule, which is like a stopgap for limitations. Just to give you an example, on Jira, you have this customer request type, which is currently not supported in visual mode, but there's a way to do that with the script rule. So what we see more and more that people are using the visual mode for implementing 80% or 90% of the connection, and then the script rule to fill in the 10% specific things. This is also interesting information for the product, so that we know what additional mapping rules we need to add in the visual mode. Yeah. So, Sandor, the question is about, is it possible to allow only manual sync, absolutely. So the trigger configuration is optional. The Exalate Now transition post function is available both on Jira Cloud and Jira Server. Another approach that people are also doing is they have, for instance, a custom field where they say, well, this issue needs to go to that project in my internal Jira. So once that custom field is set, a trigger will then automatically escalate that issue to the other side. And because the project, that one custom field can be added to the message sent over to the other side can then see in what project the corresponding twin needs to be created. So yes, manual is absolutely possible. Yeah. And yes, you did explain. Okay. All right. So any further questions? Just raise them on the community. I think that many of other Exalate users will benefit from these questions and how they can be done.
Perfect. Thanks, Francis. Thanks for your answers. And yeah, thanks everyone for the questions. That's really good. I'm just going to share my screen again and finish off, wrap up things a little bit. So I'd just like to take a moment to touch on our partner program. I know we perhaps have a few partners on the call today, so thanks for joining. And just a word for everyone. So if you ever kind of find yourself searching for integrations on behalf of customers or clients, then the partner program can be quite beneficial for you as well. There's some nice little benefits for you there. As well, on the other side of that, if you are looking for extra assistance with implementation of Exalate or just looking for some more information, and as well, you can get your licenses through our partners as well. So just a small word on our program. It's completely international, of course. I think we're over 130 partners in over 45 countries now. So there's been a real success. So it would be good to see some more take part in it and to help more as well. So yeah, like we said, we've got any questions. I've also got a few links that will be sent across as well, including an explainer video, which is kind of a technical description of Exalate as well. That will be popped in the chat very shortly. And likewise, we've got a kind of, much like our partner program, we have a very international team as well. So we all look forward to connecting with you, hopefully after this session. So please do kind of stay in touch as well. We're based in Europe and the APAC region as well as the US time zone too. So yeah, plenty there. So I think that is everything from our side. I want to thank everyone for joining today. Of course, we've got contact information as well as the community page. So if there's any outstanding questions or anything we can help with at all, we'd be more than happy. I will stop presenting my screen. I think the team would probably like to say a thank you as well. So yeah, cheers everyone. I appreciate your time and yeah, we'll be in touch.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Good job, Teja.
Thank you.